Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Today is the first video to a new series that I'm starting here on my channel, Best Lit of 2020. You know, lit like literature. I'm going to be doing a video for every single genre that I read this year. It's a series that I want to continue doing every single year at the end of the year. It's also a way for me to keep myself accountable of everything that I've read. Next year, I want to include other categories like best self-published books of 2020, etc., etc. So today we'll be kicking it off with best memoirs of 2020. I do want to point out that this is not going to be my favorite books of the year. That video will also come, but that will be posted in January because I am still reading some books that could still make it onto that list. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So many great memoirs that I read this year that I just have a few honorable mentions. The first one is Brain on Fire by Susanna Cahalan. The second one is The Beauty in Breaking, and this is by Michelle Harper. And then the third one is Becoming by Michelle Obama. So now for the best lit of 2020 memoir category, let's just start with the elephant in the room. I feel like I've been pushing this book to y'all in every single video of mine, so I'm just gonna get it out of the way. But it's Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. I adored this book. It was just, you know, I have never had a book that's taken me on the roller coaster of emotions that this has. It made me laugh, it made me cry. I legit laughed out loud with this book. Like, I was just sitting here laughing hysterically, and my partner was looking at me like I was going crazy. It's so great. If y'all don't know who Trevor Noah is, he is a comedian, and this is a book about him growing up in South Africa. I like that we get his account of him growing up, but we also get interspersed history of pre and post apartheid. And I also love apartheid. I never know if I'm pronouncing that word correctly. Strangely enough, learning about the history and the establishments in South Africa just highlighted the inadequacies here in the United States. So I highly recommend this one. It's a really short and fast read, and it will have you laughing and bawling your eyes out all at once. The next book that I want to talk about, drumroll please, is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This was another electrifying read for me, and it's a book that's missing from the English canon, but the topics are extremely vital and extremely important. This is Carmen Maria Machado's memoir, and in this book she talks about domestic violence and domestic abuse in queer relationships, which is a topic that is often either neglected or is not widely talked about, and it's so important. I love all of the pop and cultural references that she makes. It's also revolutionary for memoir style because this is told in a series of vignettes, you know, like dream house as world building, dream house at set design. There's even a set of vignettes here that's dream house as choose your own adventure, which was really fun. It was a fun experience reading this, but it was also very heavy and hard-hitting and super vital and important. This is one that I think should be a required reading. It's fantastic, it's great, and I loved it. The next book on this list is one that I don't have the physical book for. I did listen to this book on audiobook through Libby, and that is Ordinary Girls by Yaquira Diaz. Yaquira is a debut author, and this is her first memoir, her first book. Ordinary Girls was honestly heartbreaking and difficult to read at times. I had to take several breaks from it just because it's so powerful but heartbreaking at the same time. It's definitely a heavy read, so I definitely recommend going into it when you're in the right headspace, when you feel like you could read something that's a little bit more heartbreaking and a little bit more heavy. This is similar to the next book on my list as well. Ordinary Girls is a coming-of-age story of Yaquira growing up in Puerto Rico. I love that Yaquira was able to embed into the story little cultural and historical references of Puerto Rico. This memoir really highlights friendships, commitments, love. It touches on what it's like growing up as a Latinx queer youth and the impacts and ramifications of that, and how even through devastating circumstances and having to grow up too early, you can still have a meaningful and happy and rewarding life. It was honestly super hard-hitting, and I really loved this book. The last book on my list for the best lit of 2020 in the memoir category is a reread for me. I first read this book, oh gosh, man, maybe like 9th grade, which was ages ago. And I remember back then it really hit me, but I feel like reading it a second time for some reason made it more meaningful and more impactful. And that was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. And Ordinary Girls is in a similar vein and tone to I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is also a coming of age story, and it's one that, again, I feel like should be required reading. I love that Maya Angelou right from the beginning cuts through all the bullshit. She's just like, hey, this is my life, unfiltered. Take it however you want. She doesn't censor anything. She doesn't try to sugarcoat anything. And parts of her life were really hard. Like, I feel like that's an understatement. But really, we get to see this badass, independent, kick-ass woman at the end of it. And just reading everything that she went through, but then finishing it and knowing her outlook on life was just a very powerful experience for me. So definitely one that I recommend that you pick up. I do just want to point out again, this is a heavy read. So if you're not in the mind space for that, maybe put it off until you're in a better place in your life. So those were the best memoirs that I read in 2020. The next category will be nonfiction books, and then after that I will do fantasy, sci-fi, and then horror, thriller, mystery. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. What was the best memoir that you read this year? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!